Yay. Thanks everyone for coming. So yeah, I am with Avery. We are based in São Paulo, Brazil. We're focused on immersive experience. Actually today we just did 7 years. It's our birthday. It's gonna be a really short talk, so I have 15 minutes to talk about 10 years of my life. But I will try to focus on the highlights of developing this series and each episode, and during an industry that is constantly changing and evolving so much. Oh no, I had the bug I was talking about. The next slide's not gonna show. Oh, no. It's okay. I'm gonna explain it. There's like a bug, I don't know why. Anyways, it always started 10 years ago. I was studying at the NFTS. It's not NFTs. It's the National Film and Television School. It's a university in England. And I tried VR for the first time. I was mind blown. I tried Oculus One. I was lucky enough to have a student that had an Oculus, and the first thing I did was buying a DK1 for myself, and every project at university I wanted to make with VR. And then, this was a 2-year degree, so the final year you had the opportunity to make your final project. You had a 1 year to make your project, so I was like, this is it, this is my opportunity. I'm gonna make the VR game that I was waiting for. And I was struggling to come up with the design for this game until I had this dream that I was like playing this game on the TV, and this game was evolving and changing from 16 to 32 bits until the game became 3D and the whole world was pixelating around me. I have really intense dreams, and I woke up I woke up with that idea, oh my God, the evolution of games, that feeling of seeing Mario and expectation to, I want to see how Mario's going to look when the N64 comes out. That feeling of seeing that we saw in the 80s that we're never going to see again. Living the evolution of the industry that was so quick and so intense. So my idea was like, okay, I want to build a time machine. I want players to go back in time and experience video games the way it used to be. So that's the spark that started Pixel Rip for me. Of course, it was a little ambitious for a student project. I just wanted to make 5 levels, and each level was an era of gaming. It's a small game, of course. And the game, each level you would experience, of course, an era. And while you're playing those games, you would also have you need a strong character, right? And then I created Dot. That's actually the first drawing of Dot, the character that I'm dressed now. So I wanted to create a character that represented all the characters that I grew up playing. The character I wish it existed when I was a kid. It was so frustrating for me that I always wanted a female, strong, powerful character, badass, so I created Dot. She has a laser gun like Mega Man. She can jump like Mario. She loses pixels like the rings from Sonic, so she's like this mashup of all those characters. The next slide's not gonna show as well. Oh God, we tried this before, sorry guys, but I'm gonna just talk through. But there was a slide showing basically the struggles of that time. I think it's really important to tell here. I know today VR, it seems like it is still a really young industry, but 10 years ago, it was even more wild, wild west. Like I was trying to figure out what was the game about at the same time that I was working with such a fast evolving industry that there was no guidelines like we had today. Like imagine the engines, I was working with Unity. You had no, like today we had templates, you open like the Unreal and Unity, they had like VR tools you can use, there is a bunch of tutorials online. There was nothing like that. You had like just a camera, a OVR camera that you could change your camera in the scene. And then you could make your camera VR. So everything else you kind of had to build from scratch. So it was a really even more ambitious game. Even if this game was a PC build, it was way too much. So this here, I just want to show how much the limitations of the industry at the time, like the headset, the limitations really shaped the design of the game really early on, and this kind of made the game suffer a little bit later when it got finally released. Here, it's a video of my first build, and I was doing the gaze interaction, so you can look to objects and interact with your view. There was no touch controllers, guys, so you basically had to do everything with gaze. There was a lot of head movement, and this really shaped the design. They became actually one of the main moments of the game, the boss battle, where you need to interact with a speedball to shoot with the enemy. So you use a head to shoot at the enemy while you are holding a joystick and controlling dot in 2D. So you can see there, while you're doing these two things at once, your hands are like always in the controller while you're moving your heads. So this is an example of how the industry can shape the design. And then later on, when we got touch controllers and all these new features coming out, the game was kind of, the design was like really holding that, right? So I worked for 1 year and I got the game out. It was like a 15 minutes demo of the level 3. I did a vertical slice. And it was today we see as a proof of concept. And I put this, at the time there was no a store like we have today, like a meta store. You had Oculus Share, where everyone was sharing their work and you could just upload there and download it for free. And it was a great place to developers and everyone to share a VR and immersive experience. At the time, there was a lot of roller coasters. So if you remember, it was a blue ocean. So I was able to get a student project. It got to first place at some point. This is a print to prove it. And for the first time, I realized, oh my God, maybe this game is good because YouTubers start playing, investors start to approach. And before that, I was showing the game for people that never had tried VR before. So it's really hard to tell, is my game good or is VR good? Because everyone was like, wow, that's amazing. It's like you're showing your movie for someone that never saw a television. It felt like that. So this was the first time that I realized, okay, this game is good. And I decided after university to release episodes instead of a whole game. And that was a good decision. And the first game to be made was 1989. And then I entered this long journey of indie developer from 2015 to 2017. I was with a friend. We were like building the game, having friends helping when we could. We had a Kickstarter that failed. And then we traveled from England to Silicon Valley. We got invested from Boost VC. And then 2016, like money was over. I was working in another company. I had friends helping when they could. Anyway, it was really hard to finish such a complex game. Until 2017, I met Arvory, the company I am with today. At the time, it was like 10 people in the room. And then this is the picture from last year. We're like almost more than 80 people. And we put 1 more year work into Pixel 1989, and we finally managed to release the first episode. So this first episode took 4 years to be released. And when it got released, this is 2018, when you have the year that Beat Saber was released. We lost all the prizes for Beat Saber. I was honored to be side by side with Beat Saber. I was like, yeah, they deserve it. But yeah, that year you have already, of course, it's still PC VR, most of it, but you have here room scale, touch controllers, and we released the game with like strongly using gaze interaction. That really was bad for the game. It took really long. I think the 4 years was way too long for this game, but it was good to discover what is Pixel Ripped about and help it as well to learn about VR and learn what is the game about, to define the game pillars for the next episodes coming next. So Pixel Ripped has 3 pillars. Game within a game is the main one. You are playing a game on a 2D screen, but you are playing that game in a VR world, and you have to deal with the interactions of that world. In that example, imagine you're playing a game in your home, and then your mother wants you to play outside. And if she catches you playing, you have to distract her, otherwise it's game over, she turns off your game. So there's two worlds going on at the same time. It's a game within a game. Nostalgic childhood memories. I have a really good talk I did with the team. I can talk more about it later. We talk about how we use immersive nostalgic memories to increase immersion in VR. And it's the solid base for Pixel Ripped. It's the idea that players will go back and feel like, remember their childhood memories. So imagine you are in your living room, sitting down on the floor, all that scale of the world, we play around with scale, like when you're a kid, you see the world bigger. So that's a good thing about VR. So nostalgic memories is really important. What the fuck moments, that's the best name I found for this pillar. But basically it's the comic side of Pixel Ripped. We like to surprise players. We have this non-elegant design that we like to surprise players with unexpected moments. Now I'm just gonna go through really quick from what happened to Pixel Ripped 1995 and 1978. 1995, we released it. With Avery, we decided, okay, the relationship is going well. Let's start from scratch together. And then we put 2 years and released Pixel Ripped 1995 in 2020. It was pandemic, of course. We had here the Quest going to the market, Half-Life Alyx being released. So it was really big for the industry. And here, I think the major thing was focusing on optimization, right? Because before you were doing a PC build and now we're doing a mobile build. And that was the biggest challenge. And also we got Pixel Ripped 1989, which wasn't accepted to be released on the Quest. So we managed to put this game inside 1995 as a DLC. It was insane amount of work, but we managed to get this game on the Quest. We had to build the game together, compile 2 codes. It was insane. To a point to make 1989 running on mobile. This is a PC build, really old, so we had to take the tips from the kids to the game run in a good FPS. There's no tips in the kids in 1989. That breaks my heart. But yeah, 1978, this is the last episode we released last year. I think the big thing, this is the biggest Pixel Ripped we ever done. It has not only the game within a game, but now you can enter the game and change it from inside and explore the world as dot in first person, has combat. So it's the biggest game in the franchise. And the first time we work with a partner, so we released this game and published it with Atari. Atari was my first console, so, and this was like mind-blowing experience for all of us. Also, finally, for the first time, we were able to actually use the real names of the IPs, and they send us like how the office from Atari would look, posters. We could use everything from Atari, the name, and have actually a Atari 2600 console in your desk. And before, we were trying to make names. You kind of look like, oh, this looks like Nintendo, but it's like the power system. So we kind of have to use these fake names. And this was the first time we could actually use real IP names. But summarizing from all this experience so far as a developer in these 10 years, for sure, the best experience I have was when we created Pixel Ripped 1978. We worked 2 months inside VR. So this is actually, in the left, it's a prototype that we worked there, was being an art designer and programmer, basically defining the core loop of the game, the core mechanic, the main moments. This is us prototyping the boss battle in Horizon Worlds, and this is how it became in the end of the game, finalized it. When we left that 2 months, we had the whole game designed. We actually made meetings, this is us in the bottom, meetings inside and everything. It was like a really good moment for us that had a team that used to work together, and during pandemic, we started working remotely. So this was really important for me as a director to be close to my team. There is a whole talk about this that I did at Gamescom. I can share with you guys after this talk. There's a lot to talk here. But yeah, it is not much time to talk about 10 years. I try to focus on the highlight. This was how my journey, this was my journey to transform my dream into VR, and I hope this inspired you guys. I'm happy to stay longer here after the talk to talk with you guys, because 15 minutes is insane. But this is my contacts, and you can add me on LinkedIn. Feel free to send me an email. I'm more than happy to talk more in depth about these 10 years. And thank you.